Here are the most recent deaths in the national news, as reported at Legacy.com in the third week of October 2024. Legacy.com is where you can find any obituary or publish an obituary in any newspaper in America and beyond. Actor Michael Newman died October 20th, 2024 at a hospital in Los Angeles. He died after fighting Parkinson's disease at the age of either 67 or 68, according to conflicting sources. He was one of the stars of the hit TV show Baywatch, playing a lifeguard who was also named Michael Newman. Newman is being remembered as the only Baywatch cast member who was a lifeguard in real life. He also did stunts on the show and was a consultant who made sure there was some realism in its scenes. Actress Christine Boisson died October 21, 2024 in Paris. She died of lung disease at the age of 68. She was a French star well known for her debut role in the 1974 film Emmanuelle. Boisson is also being remembered for such movies as Identification of a Woman, A New Life, and The Truth About Charlie, as well as for her stage work. Racing driver Bobby Gill died October 17, 2024, of brain cancer at the age of 65. He was known for racing in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, earning 4 top 10 finishes in 16 starts. Gill is also being remembered for his victories in the NASCAR Southeast Series and USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series. Singer and songwriter Paul Di'Anno died in October 2024 in Salisbury, England. He died after a period of declining health at the age of 66. He was the original singer for the legendary heavy metal band Iron Maiden, singing on their first 2 albums and co-writing the classic track Killers. Di'Anno is also being remembered for his years with such bands as Gog Magog, Killers, and Battlezone. Stunt performer Bob Yerkes died October 1, 2024 at a hospital in Northridge, California. He died after fighting pneumonia at the age of 92. He did stunts for more than 80 movies and TV shows, including Boba Fett's flying stunts in Return of the Jedi and doubling for Christopher Lloyd in Back to the Future. Yerkes is also being remembered for the extensive stunt course he built in his backyard, where generations of stunt and circus performers learned and honed their craft. Thelma Mothershed Wair died October 19, 2024 in Little Rock, Arkansas. She died of complications from multiple sclerosis at the age of 83. She was one of the Little Rock Nine, the group of 9 black students who were the first to integrate the Arkansas City's schools in 1957 amid taunts and threats. Mothershed Wair is being remembered as a longtime teacher and guidance counselor who was honored with the Congressional Gold Medal for her role in the Civil Rights Movement. World War II veteran John Kinsel Sr. died October 19, 2024 at the age of 107. He was a U.S. Marine Corps veteran who served from 1942 to 1946 and was awarded the Purple Heart. He was one of the Navajo code talkers, helping create the unbreakable code based on his Native American language that was used to transmit key information during the war. Kinsel is being remembered as one of the last of the Navajo code talkers. With his death, only 2 others remain. Runner Julia Hawkins died October 22, 2024 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at the age of 108. She didn't take up running until she was 100 years old, but then she quickly set world records in her age group for the 100-meter dash, shot put, and other track and field events. Hawkins is being remembered as an inspiration to runners of all ages. Elizabeth Francis died October 22, 2024 at the age of 115. She was the oldest person in the U.S., as well as the 4th oldest person in U.S. history. Frances is being remembered for saying she felt very young at heart, and for attributing her longevity to no drinking or smoking, plus eating the foods she loved. Psychologist Philip G. Zimbardo died October 14, 2024, in San Francisco at the age of 91. He was the researcher behind the notorious 1970 Stanford Prison Experiment, in which students acting as prison guards over their classmates quickly devolved into abusive behavior. Zimbardo is being remembered as a longtime professor at Stanford University and the author of such books as The Lucifer Effect: Understanding How Good People Turn Evil. U.S. Representative Rick Nolan died October 18, 2024, at his home in Nisswa, Minnesota. He died of a heart condition at the age of 80. He represented Minnesota in the House from 1975 to 1981, and again from 2013 to 2019, one of the longest gaps between terms in U.S. congressional history. Nolan is being remembered for his work on behalf of the people of northern Minnesota. Singer and activist Barbara Dane died October 20, 2024, at her home in Oakland, California. She died of heart failure at the age of 97. Her lifelong career began when she was a teenager in the 1940s singing at protests, and she went on to sing folk music, blues, and jazz for decades, and perform with artists like Bob Dylan and the Chambers Brothers. Dane is also being remembered as the co-founder of Paradon Records, through which she brought protest music from around the world to listeners in the U.S. Scientist Andrew Schally died October 17, 2024, in Miami Beach, Florida, at the age of 97. He shared the 1977 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for his work identifying previously unknown ways in which the brain and hormones interact. Schally is being remembered for his research that led to advancements in therapies for prostate cancer, breast cancer, and other diseases influenced by hormonal regulation. Skateboarder Patti McGee died October 16, 2024, at her home in Brea, California. She died of complications from a stroke at the age of 79. She was the first female skateboarding champion and the first woman to skateboard professionally, pioneering the sport as a teenager in the early 1960s. McGee is being remembered for appearing on the cover of Life magazine, doing her signature trick of a handstand on her skateboard. Actress, singer, and comedian Mimi Hines died October 21, 2024, in Las Vegas. She died of natural causes at the age of 91. She was a Broadway star who replaced Barbra Streisand in the lead role of Funny Girl and went on to star in a revival of Grease. Hines is also being remembered for her singing career and for her musical comedy act with her one-time husband, Phil Ford. Historian Yehuda Bauer died October 18, 2024, in Jerusalem at the age of 98. He was a prominent Holocaust scholar who explored the moral dilemmas that people faced during that dark period in history. Bauer is being remembered as an outspoken advocate for the importance of Holocaust remembrance and education. Actor Ron Ely died September 29, 2024, at his daughter's home in Los Alamos, California, at the age of 86. His death was announced this week. He starred as Tarzan in the 1960s TV adaptation of the classic adventure story. Ely is also being remembered for the movie Doc Savage, the Man of Bronze, and for memorable appearances in TV shows like Wonder Woman and Superboy. Strongman Geoff Capes died October 23, 2024, at the age of 75. He was a two-time winner of the World's Strongest Man competition, a six-time champion at the Highland Games, and an Olympic shot putter. Capes is being remembered as a British cultural icon who frequently appeared in TV shows and commercials. Baseball player Fernando Valenzuela died October 22, 2024 in Los Angeles at the age of 63. Hailing from Mexico, he took Major League Baseball by storm in the 1980s as a star pitcher for the LA Dodgers, who won the Cy Young Award and Rookie of the Year in the same year. Valenzuela is being remembered for inspiring Fernando Mania with his devastating screwball pitch. In addition to featuring current deaths in the news, Legacy.com also honors the lives and legacies of notable people who died in the past. Here are some of this week's anniversaries. 10 years ago this week, actress Marcia Strassman died at the age of 66. She was best known for her roles in Welcome Back, Kotter and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. 10 years ago this week, musician Jack Bruce died at the age of 71. He was a member of the rock supergroup Cream, playing bass and singing lead vocals. 15 years ago this week, comedian and actor Soupy Sales died at the age of 83. The host of the children's show Lunch with Soupy in the 1950s and 60s, he was known for his signature pie-in-the-face gag. 19 years ago this week, civil rights activist Rosa Parks died at the age of 92. Her refusal to give up her bus seat for a white passenger sparked a boycott that became one of the most impactful moments of the civil rights movement. 30 years ago this week, actor Raul Julia died at the age of 54. He starred in film adaptations of The Addams Family, as well as in other movies like Kiss of the Spider-Woman, and he was nominated for 4 Tony Awards for his work on Broadway. 30 years ago this week, actor Burt Lancaster died at the age of 80. He won an Academy Award for his performance in Elmer Gantry and was nominated for From Here to Eternity, Birdman of Alcatraz, and Atlantic City. 33 years ago this week, screenwriter Gene Roddenberry died at the age of 70. He was responsible for one of the best-loved sci-fi franchises of all time as the creator of Star Trek. 52 years ago this week, baseball player Jackie Robinson died at the age of 53. He made baseball history and became an American icon when, in 1947, he became the first black player in the major leagues. 55 years ago this week, author Jack Kerouac died at the age of 47. He was one of the greats of the Beat generation, best known for his novel On the Road. Musician Peter Tosh was born 80 years ago this week. He died in September 1987 at the age of 42. A core member of the foundational reggae band The Wailers, he went on to a successful solo career. Every week in the United States, flags are lowered to half-staff to honor the lives of Americans whose communities are mourning their loss. Here are the most recent half-staff memorial flag honors. Flags in Missouri have been lowered to honor the memory of St. Charles County Ambulance District paramedic Michael R. Clark. Flags in Massachusetts have been lowered to honor the memory of Private Second Class Damian Marble, United States Army. Flags in Massachusetts have also been lowered to honor the memory of State Representative Susan Williams Gifford. Flags in Kentucky have been lowered to honor the memory of U.S. Army Sergeant First Class Raymond E. Hall, who was killed while fighting in the Korean War. His remains were recently identified and returned home for burial. Flags in Georgia have been lowered to honor the memory of Houston County Sheriff Henry Cullen Talton, Jr. Flags in Maine have been lowered to honor the memory of the 18 people killed in the shootings at Just in Time Recreation and Schmenge's Bar and Grill in Lewiston last year. Flags in Connecticut have been lowered to honor the memory of Wethersfield Volunteer Fire Department firefighter Robert Sharkovich Sr., who died in the line of duty. Flags in Illinois have been lowered to honor the memory of State Police Trooper Corey S. Thompson, who died in the line of duty. Flags in Maryland have been lowered to honor the memory of retired Maryland Court of Special Appeals Judge Andrew Larimore Sonner and former state delegate Thomas Harold Hattery. You can read more about the lives of the people featured in this video on Legacy.com. At Legacy.com, any family can publish an obituary in honor of a loved one's memory, online and in local newspapers everywhere. Just visit Legacy.com and select your local community. You can also follow Legacy.com on Facebook and subscribe to our channel here on YouTube to stay up to date on national news deaths.